Well, welcome to Weber State University. I am so excited to welcome you to the College of Science, and I'm excited that you are considering Weber State University as your university. And we are really privileged today to have our professors with us. And I just wanted to say that when I came to the university, I didn't really know what a professor was. And a professor is not just a teacher like a high school teacher, they are scientists. And so like when you watch a show on TV and you see like a National Geographic and they're interviewing those people and they're talking and they're the scientists, well, that's what your professors are. They're really scientists. And they're the people who teach our classes here at Weber State University. And we are lucky to have them here talking to you today. And this is what we're going to talk. We have lightning talks. It's sort of like speed dating with our professors who've taken time out of their day today to come and talk to you. And from our botany department, we have Dr. Harley and Dr. Hilbeg. Chemistry, we have Dr. Brandon Burnett. And from Geosciences, we have Dr. Balgord. We have Dr. Cullenber from Microbiology, and from Physics we have Dr. Roboski and Dr. John Marshall from Zoology. And I don't see Dr. Trask here yet, but she might be showing up. She's our pre-med advisor, and she's also in the Department of Zoology. I think she's meeting with a student, but she'll be here a little later. So each presenter has 4 minutes to go through 16 slides. And then you'll have 1 minute to ask your questions. So as they're going through their slides, be thinking about those questions. And it's just going to be super fast. They're going to tell you what they know. And then you have 1 minute to ask those questions. And hopefully we will leave here after a good time. And you'll know a little bit more about your professors. And I hope that you'll be swept off your feet for Weber State. Thank you.
Well, so good morning, and we are from the Botany department. It's one of the 3 biology departments at Weber State. We're the one that specializes in plants, and we are one of the last remaining undergraduate programs in botany in the United States. And so I'm a plant physiologist. Dr. Hilbig is a fungal ecologist. And so whether you want to work with plants outdoors, like our plant ecology students here, or in a lab with microscopes and chemicals and pipettes and all of that stuff, or somewhere in between, like doing monitoring work in greenhouses, we have programs to fit your needs. Our field emphasis track prepares you for jobs with state and federal agencies like the Utah DNR, U.S. Forest Service, Red Butte Garden, or Cottonwood Canyons Foundation. We currently have students working at all of these. And our lab emphasis track prepares you for jobs in industry such as biotech, natural products, plant breeding, and so on. That's you.
Our general track is serving students who want more of a broad liberal arts view of botany, and so many will do minors in the humanities and social sciences. And for example, the students that are interested in ethnobotany, which is anthropology and botany together. And then our program can include preparation for grad programs as well as pre-natural medicines. And so this is a slide of all of the schools where previous students have ended up. Our botany majors room, state-of-the-art room for our majors where they can study, they can work together, they can have lunch. It's equipped with a refrigerator, a microwave. There's even a flat screen TV where you can plug your, you can plug your computer in. We also have the Botany Club, which is going to provide opportunities to socialize with other people who love botany, or activities like making lotion bars or helping out with Earth Day or creating or running the plant sale.
Okay, and then again, the greenhouse work, we do have a greenhouse that Botany Club works in. They do make a lot of stuff for the plant sale, so this is our plant sale going on in the lobby of this building. And we also have facilities with dedicated laboratory spaces for our upper and lower division classes and our main biochemical-based laboratory classes. We got equipment like controlled environment chambers, thermocyclers, electrophoresis, chambers for growing plants, and sterile hoods for tissue culture. We also have research spaces for faculty and student projects, and students does mean undergrads because this College of Science does not have graduate students. And some current projects going on are plant-fungal interactions, chemical ecology, herbarium digitization, and plant biochemistry and lichen biology. We also have a herbarium with over 25,000 specimens, mostly representing the flora of northern Utah. We do hire a student assistant to help with curation. We also hire students to work in the greenhouse and in the laboratory prep for our lab classes.
We have a beautiful greenhouse that supports students, faculty, and research projects for both students and faculty. And it's divided into 3 climatic zones. So we have a tropical zone, a temperate zone, and a xeric or desert zone. We take advantage of local field sites. So here you can see students that in plant ecology or advanced field botany that get to go out in the field and collect field samples and then bring them back into the lab. They're just right outside the football stadium here collecting plant samples. And then if you want to know, if you can't commit to a major, you can be a botany minor, right? And so you could become a botany minor if you're majoring.
If you major in those other things.
And if you want to know more, we're on the 4th floor of this building here in Tracy Hall. And there's 6 of us in the botany department.
And your 15 seconds are faster than the 15 seconds we practiced on. So, any questions?
So I have a question actually. So with the greenhouse, do you have to be like a student studying botany in order to work in the greenhouse or anything in science? Or does that just like increase your chances of getting the job?
As long as you meet the requirement, you need to qualify for work study.
Okay.
So be sure to check that out when you're doing your financial aid bit. And then after that, we do post the ad. It runs in jobs.weber.edu. And we just look for someone who meets then the qualifications for the job descriptions for the greenhouse and the lab and the herbarium.
Cool.
So I was told to make this personal. And then I looked at all the slides and found out I was the only one who made this personal. Look at that cute kid. That is me. When I was about this age, I went to my brother's elementary school class, and my grandfather, who worked here, gave a science demonstration. He blew things up, and I thought it was amazing. I want to be my grandpa. So fast forward to this pretentious kid, whoever that is, and I was studying chemistry because I wanted to be like my grandpa. And so he sat me down, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to be a chemist like you." And he said, "Brandon, I'm a physicist." And I was like, "Oh no!" But I was already in too deep. And I loved chemistry. So then I came here to Weber. I did my undergrad here at Weber, and I came as a not very good student. In fact, in Gen Chem, I got a C. I just found out. I just looked at my records. But by the time I graduated from Weber, I was getting A's, and I was able to go and do what I wanted to do, which meant grad school and get my PhD. So this is me graduating with my PhD from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln with my beautiful wife. And now I get to do what I want to do, which is great. Every single day, I get to do some really fun research with my students. So we do what's called mechanochemical synthesis to make big molecules. So I just grind stuff up and I make cool things. And I make really cool solids that then we use for sensors and gas storage. But then I also get to do other fun things like crush plants. I'm sorry, botany. And then extract out their dyes and paint with them. So I taught an art class last semester, and we painted with the dyes that we extracted from leaves, which was really cool. So you might ask yourself, what does a chemist do? And this is what I think a chemist does. We see something in nature that we think is really cool, like sapphire. But then we look at its properties and say, what can we do with this? I can put it on a cell phone because it's really, really hard, and so it'll make it more scratch resistant. I can look at an enzyme inside of a body. This is a very specific enzyme called cytochrome P450, and I can see that it oxidizes things really well, and then I can use that to break down styrofoam. And I'm way too slow here. So here's a bunch of our students doing chemistry. Can't you see they are doing chemistry? They're not doing any chemistry. But here's some of our students in some of the labs that we're doing. We have a lot of really great facilities to do undergraduate research and just in the classrooms. We have really fun faculty who like to dress in really silly dresses and suit coats with tails. This is some of our outreach that we do to the community. This is our Faraday lectures. Our students are very engaged in undergraduate research, and often that undergraduate research then is capstoned by presenting at either local, regional, national, international conferences and publications. So here's some of our students doing that. All right, now, as far as the program goes, some nuts and bolts, we just very recently revitalized it and changed it to where you get to pick your path. So you do these foundation courses. So everybody does these foundation courses in all the different subsets of chemistry. And then based on what you were interested in, then you can pick your in-depth courses based on what you like to do. So if you took organic and you hated organic, guess what? You don't have to take any more organic, right? And say you love materials, like I love materials, then you get to take more and more inorganic and materials-based things. And so we have 3 different tracks, and they're really tailorable based on what you want to do. And I thought that you'd like to see my beautiful kids as you ask me questions. Aren't they adorable? That's the best thing I've ever done right there. So, are there any questions? Whew. Man, that was rough. No? I did that good of a job? Yeah. We do blow stuff up all the time. We do it in a very safe way, but yes. That's usually the question I get is, do you get blow stuff up? Yeah, you would blow stuff up. It's very fun. Yeah?
How often are you in the lab?
So there's labs associated with every course, well, almost every course. And so you're in there at least once a week, depending on how many courses you do. We can get you into undergraduate research sometimes in your first year. And so you're in the lab doing not only just lab work, but research work. You could be doing it for your whole 4 years that you're here, which is really cool. Yeah?
There are copies of slides somewhere else.
Somewhere.
Like all the different foundation, whatever
Yes.
courses. Is that in the catalog? Or?
Yeah, it is. It's on the catalog and on the website. And I'm done, I guess.
All right, so we'll see how this game goes. So you guys know we all get along very well in the College of Science, so things that we're saying about our own programs are probably pretty similar across programs. We do a lot of very similar things, and we like to kind of work together. So anyways, I'm gonna try to walk you through the reasons why you should specifically be a geoscientist, but this doesn't necessarily mean if you're interested in a different science, a lot of these things are gonna be true across our program. So we have awesome student cohorts and advising. We get to go out and play in the world in a bunch of different ways. What is a geoscientist? So a geoscientist is somebody who studies the earth, and there's lots of different jobs you can do with this. So those can be anything from oil and gas, metals extraction, to remediation, so cleaning up groundwater and looking at that side of things. So geology really covers a lot of things. So being in student cohorts is really useful and helpful for you guys getting through kind of college in a very happy way. So we have our students working together all the time in varying lab activities. That's them dressed up for Halloween as fool's gold and Mother Nature on the side. Geology is cool in this area in particular because we have a lot of hazards that are associated with this area. So do you guys all know you live on an active fault line? You should. And so we get to study that and think about that and actually work with our communities to help them figure out plans for safety. And part of that comes into our field trips. So our field trips are looking at the actual fault scarps. So this is as the ground moves during an earthquake. When we rupture the ground, we're dropping this down and leaving this up. And so that leaves a mark on the landscape. And our students get to map these, figure out how they relate to local communities and local areas. And so this is them actually doing that. Also stream gauging, also working down near St. George on a reservoir on varying projects. So our field trips allow them to integrate with kind of our local geology and our regional geology and then use that to understand things better. Same thing with actual international and longer distance field trips. So in the last couple of years, our students have gone to Iceland and Hawaii. I know Hawaii is not international, but it's close enough, right? It's off the mainland. Also, this is students working in Argentina on varying projects. And so those are things we get to do because, as it turns out, you have to go out into the world to look and understand the rocks. So field trips are really important. We also do a ton of undergraduate research. Some of that is integrated with our classes. Some of that is separate from our classes. But so there'll actually be certain classes you can take where you are building projects, working through those, and then presenting on those in varying ways. We also get to get outside. This is what I really like to do. I'm a field geologist, and I like to bring my students with me. Those are all pictures from my work in Peru. So I work with an international group where we're studying the impact of climate change on high alpine environments. So that's something we get to do and work with other people. And again, whether it's Peru or Argentina or a whole bunch of different places, this is in Utah looking for trilobites. There's a ton of opportunities for undergraduate research where you're doing a lot of work in the field and getting out and seeing things. You also get to do work in the lab. So sometimes that means some things that are a little crude, which is just smashing rocks and breaking them apart. Sometimes it means test tubes and big mass spectrometers, where we are looking at the chemical composition of the varying rocks that we're looking at to try to understand them better. Again, that impacts anything from groundwater resources to mineral extraction type things. Our students also get to then present at professional meetings. So part of doing this undergraduate research is actually meeting other scientists, getting to learn how to do a project from start to finish, and then presenting that. We also do a lot of internships, and we work really closely with a number of different groups. So we have an alumni advisory board, which is helping you guys be better prepared for jobs after you're done with your time here. We also have internships that you actually can do on-site with the Utah Geological Survey. So you're doing work for them as you are on campus getting credits for that, which is a pretty cool program. We also do a lot of different outreach programs, whether it is with local high schoolers or actually elementary school kids, where you're going out, you're working with the community, helping them, whether it's with water quality issues or hazards, and trying to understand that. And just as a little actual thing to talk specifically about geosciences, in the last couple of years, there have been a number of articles about how, for whatever reason, geoscience majors tend to have the highest happiness rates with their degree choices and post-degree. Some of that has to do with salaries when you're coming out and job statistics. It also has to do, again, with those cohorts that you're building. So that time you're spending with your classmates really helps make the time when you're in college a much more productive, much more happy, because it's always going to be stressful, right? You're learning new things and it's hard to do. But if you're working with a group that you feel really close to, moving through classes together, going on trips together, hanging out together, that's going to help you be happier in your degree choice. Also, obviously, working closely, potentially with a professor as a mentor on an undergraduate project is also really going to help you. So again, those are things to think about. No matter what program you go into, again, we want you guys to find something that you're excited about as far as science. And then once you get into that, we want you to have all of the opportunities possible to make you happy and complete, basically, as you are kind of moving through your program. And again, if that means you want to work with multiple of us across disciplines, that's fantastic. If that means you want to work with any one of us, that's also fantastic. I guess an aside, I gave you guys lots of pictures of the field. Geology is also very integrated in lab work. So whether that is using computers for modeling programs, for imaging, for GIS, so your cell phone GPS that's in there, right? That's using satellites to figure out where you're located. We use that in a number of different ways. So the field pictures are pretty, but there's also tons of options for things to do in the lab.
All right, microbiology. That's me. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking to you a little bit about what microbiology is, because I find that not everybody knows, because it's not always something you talk a lot about in high school biology classes. So microorganisms, or microbiology, it's the study of the very small, the things we can't see. So really quickly, if this is a centimeter and there's 10 millimeters in a centimeter, then this is a millimeter. Now, bacteria are about a micrometer. There's 1,000 of those in that millimeter. Most of the life on this planet is microbial. This is a tree that demonstrates representatives from all life: microbes, bacteria, microbes, bacteria, microbes, a weird group called archaea, and then the humans and animals are kind of in that little corner. In viruses, there are probably 100 times more viruses on this planet than there are bacteria. So that's a lot, and they do a lot of crazy things, like live in the ocean, and cause a lot of disease. And this is often what we're really concerned about when we want to think about microbiology, things like tuberculosis and plague and Ebola and E. coli. So we talk about public health and why it's important to wash your hands, amongst other things like vaccinating your kids or yourself. Microbes, though, make us healthy. You're probably carrying around between 2 and 6 pounds of microorganisms on your body right now. And we should be treating them like a separate organ system in the human body. They're also important in the environment. This is my most favorite microbial superpower. They take nitrogen from the atmosphere, fix it into nitrogen that can be used by plants and animals. Nothing else on the planet can do this. And we use them in our foods. Here's one of my favorites. This is a substance called natto. It's fermented soybeans. Apparently, it's a delicacy. I tasted it. It's not. Yogurt, cheese. This microorganism here, Lactobacillus wasatchensis, was discovered right here at Weber State University by myself and some undergraduate students and other faculty. So, reasons to major in microbiology: you get to be a part of the research. You get to investigate important problems. You get to develop your laboratory skills that you will use in your futures. And you get to make some friends. This is just a list of some classes that we take.
These are some actinomycetes from soil that we isolated. This is a fluorescent image that we took with a microscope. There's some students working in the lab. And we do a lot of research, You saw this woman before. She was actually doing an interdisciplinary research project with Geosciences. She's now doing research in dairy microbiology. She's in dental school. He's in medical school or going to medical school. So what do microbiologists do? You kind of write your own ticket. If you want to go to medical school, you go to medical school. If you want to study medicine in graduate school, you do that. If you want to work in biotech or the environment or pharmaceutical testing, there's lots and lots of options. These are some places where students have gone recently to graduate or professional school. University of Utah, Utah State University, BYU, Marquette, The Ohio State University, Toro. These are some of the places where microbiology students work. Biotech companies like BioFire and Myriad, pharmaceutical companies, Nelson, dairy companies like Leprino and Glanbia, Chobani, Dannon, all places that have hired our microbiology students. So really, microbes rule the world. There's a question that needs to be answered. There's more that we don't know than we do know, and these are just some of the things you could study. And in the words of the infamous Dr. Craig Oberg, microbes rule, humans drool. And you can have some questions. Yeah.
So I'm with the physics department, and I can get started here with the fact that all of the science that we're talking about today, the underlying mechanisms of that science, is with the physics. We do the very large, we do the very small. So when we were talking about microbes and the idea that they're very tiny, very small on the micro scale, there I am. The physics that I do is 1,000 times smaller because I deal with all these materials around you except what happens at the atomic level. But the beautiful thing about physics is that same exact physics I deal with for the atoms in this table or the atoms in this board is that same physics applies to our sun, to all of the stars in our galaxy, and all the way to the edge of the universe. So physics is actually an incredible preparation for a variety of areas wherever you want to go, because as you're going to see as I introduce some of our research, it spans pretty much everything. We have different tracks. We have regular physics, which is a traditional physics track. We have applied physics, which gets you a little bit close to technologies that are going to be commercialized or closer to, say, engineering. In our applied physics track, you'll take a little bit more of an intense laboratory course than you would in the traditional physics track. We have physics teaching, because at the end of the day, we can't have physicists without the actual teachers who get them excited to take physics in the first place. And we have a phenomenal physics education program. Our advisors for both physics and physics teaching actually look quite similar to each other. Dr. Colin Ingerfield and Dr. Adam Johnson, Bert and Ernie in this picture, they're wonderful resources if you're interested in physics. We have incredible facilities. We get to look at the stars with the dome on top of this building. I get to look at the atoms and the bonds and materials like this table down in our materials research lab. And there is everything in between. But the bottom line is in physics, we have an awful lot of fun because I get to play with all the toys in all my classes. And everything, it turns out, in physics is a toy. So I get to come to work and play with toys. We interact a lot with our community. So that was our physics open house where we had last year about 600 people from the community come in. But the bottom line is if you want to be a scientist, you should try being a scientist. And undergraduate research is so important, not just to physics, but to every one of these scientific fields. My lab is the materials lab. I make electronic materials that go into all of your devices, your smartphones, your touchscreens, solar panels on roofs in my lab. We have a group that all the students build the electronics in the balloons that fly to near-Earth orbit, and then they take amazing photographs and they do monitoring of the conditions in our atmosphere. They look at the dynamics in our atmosphere. We have those who are interested in computational physics, like computer science and things like that. You can actually look at what is happening in theory. What do we think the next frontier of physics is going to be, both at the very large and the very small? We have a group that's looking for exoplanets. What's the next Earth-like planet out there outside of our solar system? Can we find it? Can we utilize it? So as you can see, we started at the very small, we're now up to the very large, and the end of this is that we have the dome up on our roof where we can see the great expanse of the universe, and it turns out Ogden is a wonderful place to get a wonderful view of the sky. And we also do medical physics as well. So if you're interested, again, in applied physics, one of our professors looks at the quantity of heavy metals that exists in the human body and what type of impact that has. And finally, our science education research, which is really important, which is how do we just bring our joy for science to the local community and the students in K through 12 work, which is probably the most important piece of what we do. But finally, the last question is, how will research or physics help me to find jobs, fame, and love? And if you were paying attention to Dr. Burnett's talk, it's certainly possible, but it does depend. So you should come ask us lots of questions. We have a lot to offer you in our physics program. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Or if you have any microbiology questions.
I guess I'll start ahead of time. I'm Dr. Marshall. I'm from the Zoology Department. We are last alphabetically in the entire college. We are one of the 3 biology departments. You heard from microbiology, you heard from botany. Where'd Michelle go? Oh, I was just going to say since I haven't started yet, I just wanted to point out that what we learned today from microbiologists is that we all weigh 2 to 6 pounds less than we think that we weigh. So that's a good thing, right? I'm much more fit leaving today than I was coming in. Okay, so here, this is a picture of me. This is the zoology department. Dr. Trask over here is also a member of the zoology department, so you'll hear from her in a little bit. But what I wanted to focus on when talking about the zoology department is basically I thought, okay, I'm going to focus on faculty research, outreach, and student research and things that students do. But before we do that, I'm going to look at the careers. What are the careers that you can do as a zoology student? We can break them down into health professions, and so we have a lot of students that are like pre-dentistry, pre-pharmacy, pre-med, things like that. We also have students that are really into animals. It's the zoology department, so when you hear zoology department, what do you think? Zoos, right? So we have a lot of students that come in and want to work for zoos, but what we're trying to do here is show you that it's other things too. We're not just focused on zoos, but we do have some students that are interested in zoos. We also do have careers in education, whether it's teaching at high school, junior high, elementary school, or at the college or university level. All right, so let's talk about faculty research. This is Dr. Hogstrom. He's our zoology chair. He studies fish. This is a picture of him doing some fish studies in New Mexico. He also does fish studies here locally. The way that I selected which faculty that I'm going to talk about, or simply I just asked him for them, and these are the ones that sent me photos. And so it wasn't a very rigorous process. Here's Dr. Moll. Dr. Moll, if you can see, he has in his hands some really cute flammulated owls. He's actually an entomologist, so not to confuse you, owls are not entomology, but they're not insects, but we still do, we reach across animal species. This is Dr. Skopek. She does wood rat research. She looks at what wood rats eat. For instance, they'll eat some plants that are kind of toxic to us, and so she looks at what that is. Here, this is me. I'm doing salamander research. This is me in northern Palestine, Israel, in the Golan Heights, looking at these fire salamanders, trying to figure out how these fire salamanders develop their different morphological characteristics. We have student research. Again, these are just photos that were sent to me. This is student Gur. She's a researcher. She's out in the Great Salt Lake. She's obviously a little bit stuck in the mud flats. She now is just finished graduate school, I believe. Here are some other student researchers. Here's Dr. O with some student researchers. This is Niall. He was doing vole mice research in Ohio. And then also this is another student of ours, Patricia. She was working for the National Park. She's also now in graduate school. Here are some student presentations. Here's Dr. Chung. This was a local one. They go to meetings that we have for undergraduates here on campus where they can present their research. They also go to national meetings and international meetings. This is Dr. Myers with his students. He assured me that that was non-alcoholic beer. I don't believe him. But when you're on, what you do off campus, I guess, stays off campus, right? But so you have the good thing about all of our departments is that you get really good interaction with with the faculty. Here's some of our student involvement. I happen to be the advisor of a club called the Multicultural Advancement in Science. We go out to elementary schools. Here's Samaya showing a bunch of kids some butterflies. Here are a bunch of conferences that we present in. We present in the Latinos in Action Conference. We present in the Multicultural Youth Diversity Conference. Here are some of the MOS students. Here's another club, Scientista. Here, MOS, this is Gideon, he's the president of our MOS club. And Shay, she's the president of the Scientistas. The Scientistas are an all-female club. We also bring people that used to be students here that are off doing great things. Here's Maria North, she was in our department. She now is in medical school, so she came back to show the other undergrads, explain to them kind of what's going on in medical school. We also do fun stuff. Here we are with the MOS Day ski and snowboard day. Here we are floating the Weber River. So we also like to do fun stuff with students. So any questions? About zoology, about the clubs? I wanted to really mention clubs. It's not just zoology students. There are others. There are students from actually all of the departments in our clubs. But we also have a zoology club, which is just zoology students. But we also have the other clubs, which bring students from across campus. Question? MOS is my favorite club because I'm the advisor of MOS. And so we do all sorts of really, really, really fun stuff with the clubs. And it's a really good opportunity and I would encourage everybody to try to join clubs just so that you can build relationships with the other students that are in the clubs. You can learn from the other students, you can build networks, and you can get to know the faculty advisors. It's an awesome thing to do when you come to school. Any other questions? Any other clubs? Does anybody have any other clubs that I mean, I didn't want to just be the only one talking about clubs.
I'm going to talk about clubs.
Oh yeah, the pre-med club. Okay, good. So thank you.
So I'm representing the Ezekiel R. Dumke family pre-medical programs, all of the different programs that we have here, pre-med, pre-dent, pre-pharm, pre-chiropractic medicine, pre-veterinary medicine, fall under the umbrella of the Ezekiel R. Dumke family program. Dr. Ezekiel R. Dumke was a local physician who started practice in Ogden in 1919, and he actually pioneered the intrathecal or spinal anesthesia. If you want to follow in Dr. Dumke's footsteps, one of the things that you have to do is like science. That you guys are here, so I assume that that's true, that you like science. You've heard a lot about the different programs that we have here. If you want to go into a medical profession, you have to study all of those sciences. So you're going to take classes in biology, so that's zoology, microbiology, and some botany, chemistry, mathematics, and physics. These are the courses that you're going to have to take. The reason you have to take all of those courses is because they all apply to the study of the human body. So here I've got some chemistry, some physics, some mathematics, and all of those things are relating to how the heart works. If you want to understand how the heart works, you have to study all of those different sciences. In fact, where we're going to ask that you start with mathematics. You need to start your path to medical training program at math. All along the course, you're going to be taking math. Ultimately, that will culminate in the medical college admission test, and then you'll graduate. But even though you've graduated, that doesn't mean you're going to be stopping studying, because after your 4 years in college, you're going to go to 4 years of medical school, 3 to 7 years of residency. That will be followed by 1 year to 4 of fellowship, and then how long your clinical career will last depends upon you. In addition to liking science, if you want to go into the medical profession, you have to want to help people. So you want to have a desire to serve others. And here are some of our students and some other people serving both clinically and non-clinically. We've got students who work with Habitat for Humanity. We've also got students who volunteer for hospice organizations, students who volunteer or actually work to do phlebotomy. So if you're interested in pre-medicine, there are a number of different places in Utah that you can study a pre-medical thing, but why would you study here at Weber State? Well, there are a number of reasons that Weber State's pre-med program is, we feel, one of the better. And the first of those reasons is because you will have personalized advising. So all of the departments here talked about their advisors, they talked about the relationships that you'll build, and that is true in any of the medical professions as well. And so these are the advisors with whom you work. In addition to working directly with an advisor, we have a number of other support systems. We have the clinical preceptor program that allows you to earn credit for shadowing. We have interactions with those in the Center for Community Engaged Learning. Apparently I missed a lot of things, but we also have mentor programs. So we're starting a mentor program where the students that are pre-medical are helping other students who are pre-medical sort of navigate the difficult path of being a pre-professional student. And of course, Dr. Marshall talked about clubs. There are a lot of active clubs for the professional programs as well. We've got pre-dental club, pre-med club, pre-vet club, pre-optometry club called Envision, pre-PA club. They do a lot of different things in the community. Another reason that you might want to attend Weber State if you're a pre-professional student is because, well, our students get into medical school. This purple line is the national average for students who get into medical school. Fewer than half of the students who apply to medical school get in every year. But at Weber State, for all of the years leading up to 2014, we have gotten greater than national average. In fact, here are some of our success stories. Each of these physicians is a local physician practicing in Ogden that graduated from Weber State. Some of you might recognize some of these people. Hopefully not any of the surgeons on here, but some of them are. We don't want you to have experience with them. But do you guys have any questions for me? And it's kind of my goal to have you guys ask questions because you've just sort of been sitting there. So, yes?
So what is fellowship?
So if you're going to specialize, so if you want to be a cardiologist, for example, you have to do a residency in internal medicine, so you have to understand how adults medicine in general works. But then if you want to study heart medicine specifically, then you would go on and do a fellowship in cardiology, or a fellowship in gastroenterology, or a fellowship in kidney disease, or something like that. So it's something that allows you to specialize. Of course, you don't have to do that, but some people do. What else? You never stop learning, which makes it fascinating. Yes?
So this always confused me. There's parts of becoming a doctor that I pay for, and then there's parts that are more like a job.
Yeah.
Which parts are which?
So medical school you pay for, well, obviously undergraduate, we hope you get scholarships so you don't pay for that. And then after your medical school, then you'll go on to a residency and you are paid for that. You're also paid for fellowship.
All right, well, I think we need to give our presenters another hand. These are the people you're going to get to know really well, and that's one advantage of coming to Weber State. You will get to know your professors, they'll help you through school, and they'll think about you after you graduate. So it's a great network of people who have outstanding credentials. So we hope you'll consider Weber State. If you're interested, my name's Jane Stout, and this is Monica Linford. We're the college advisors, so if you are interested in knowing what types of classes to take, to get registered, we will be more than happy to help you. And everyone here will be happy to visit with you if you have any more questions about the different specialties. We just really hope that you'll give Weber State an opportunity to help you through your undergraduate. Thanks for coming.